Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me. Today we'll be starting the first series of the garden room build, and in this episode we'll be doing the clearing out and framing for the base area in order to get the garden room built. So let's get right into it. So as you can see, we're slowly starting to clear the back where the outbuilding is going to go. So what I'm going to do is got some ton bags, got 2 of those, so I'm going to start digging out this area, put the soil in there and hopefully get a grab load lorry to come and pick those up. So we continue on, we're almost done. This soil is getting collected in the next couple of days, so I've got a few days to kind of finish getting my levels right. We know that this is the lower part, but there's still going to be some digging out required here, but we've pretty much filled 3 ton bags of soil plus this bit here, and then a little bit more still to be dug out here. What I've done so far is put a string line so I can get my levels and get an understanding of how high we come up this side, which is probably about 6 inches from the lowest point at the back, and then we go slightly under on that side. But what I'll do now is then continue on string lining this side. Once these bags are gone, then I can string line that area, work out where we are before we get the MOT. So we've got 2 ton bags of MOT coming, and then we can do the concrete pad on top. So just so you get an idea, for the outbuilding we're going to be installing it on a concrete pad, which is just going to be full strong base, easier as opposed to digging in spikes. It's just my preferred method, so we'll see how we get on. I think we've now completed our digging process. What I'm currently doing now is building the external frame. I'm actually using old decking boards. I've leveled them just to make sure that they're still pretty plumb and straight, which they are. So what you can now see is the depth that we've dug to. So if we look here, the maximum depth is 9 inches, which is just under 23 centimeters, which should be plenty enough. We're gonna bring it up slightly higher, so we're gonna bring it up to the height of this corner bit, which sits about 10 inches, which is about 25.5 centimeters, which I think is plenty. So we'll do about 15 centimeters of sub base hardcore, and then 10 centimeters of the concrete slab, which will work its way up to be protruding out of the ground this side, and then at a later stage we'll build up the soil level there. I'll clear this, and then what we'll do the framing, because what we'll have to do is continue digging out some more where it comes out of the ground, because what we want is at least a 20 centimeter of concrete along the perimeter, which will give it more structure. So we'll put the hardcore right to the end this side, and then as we get about midway, we'll dig down about another 10 centimeters to allow us to have a bigger, almost like a dam almost of concrete around the perimeter of the lower section of the ground. Okay, so as you can see, we've now started the framing process. So what I'm doing is I've added a string line from the back, and this is where we're going to start off getting our level right. So I'll put the string line in, I'll put the bottom timber in, I've leveled that timber, so that's fine. What I'm now doing is screwing these 2 timbers together so they sit at the same height, and then what we'll do is we'll stake it, make sure it's level, and then screw the stakes to the boxed frame, and then that should hold it in place. If we need to make adjustments as we go along, that'll be fine, as long as it's perfectly level for when we install the concrete, it'll be okay. So we're going to continue on doing this level. Once that's in, we can then level this section. Okay, so we are now we're squaring up at the minute. So this bit is very vital because pretty much every other measurement is based off of the surrounding frame. So what we've done, we've cut the long timbers, so the lengths, make sure that they're identical in width, and then what we do is the side timbers just get capped onto the side, and that way we know it is identical in length and then identical in width. So the lengths are exactly the same. Then what we've done, capped on the end, and then before we screwed the other end, we've taken our measurement across from here. So we've got identical measurements. I think I measured this at 290. So measured it at 290 here, screwed it in, and then we did exactly the same on this side. So it doesn't matter that there's a bit overhanging there and there's a bit overhanging there, because we know the width of this side is exactly the same as the width on that side. So we know that the square is identical at each corner section. Now what we need to do is make sure that is identical going diagonally. So this is the most important one, because this is the one that squares the building, and make sure it is 100% true each side. So my tape measure unfortunately isn't long enough, it's 5 meters, so it's perfectly fine going this way, but going through is not quite length. So what I've done is I've got a piece of string. I've taken the exact same measurement on the string line, so what we'll do is we'll unscrew this when we've done this measurement, and then we'll do it across the other way. Now I know a lot of people use the I think the 456 method, or the 345 method. I'm not familiar with that, so I'm gonna square it in the best way that I know possible, and the alternative option. So we're going to make sure that this string is exactly the same length, so it's not going to change in size. So we know that if it over flexes that side, then we know this side and this side is too wide, so we need to push that side across to then level it out with this side. So or effectively push that side there to level it out. So we'll get this measurement done here, and then we'll take the string line off, put it in the exact same place on the opposite side, and then see if our string line is too short or too long. Okay, so it took a few goings, but we managed to get it perfectly lined up. So we've got the same amount of tension both sides of the string. So I know that corner straight, this corner straight, this corner and this corner. So what I'm going to do is get a square and just double check it before I put my stakes in, and then at least we know that's perfectly square. Put stakes in, and then we can make sure we get our height level perfect, ready to get our sub base and concrete laid in top, so we know what heights to work to. Good height level there, and then we can start working towards that. So what we'll do, we'll get our square, and then we'll start leveling off, make sure everything is perfectly same height. And then what we'll do with that, we'll use our spirit level, we'll measure it across a board like so, we'll measure it across a board like so, and then continue all the way around so everything is 100% perfect. So it's not too far off, as you can see, but needs lining up a bit more. So that probably equates to about a centimetre or two. So about a centimetre. But over the course of a long building, that centimetre becomes 2, 3, 4 by the time it gets to the other end of the building. So right, we'll get our square and carry on. Okay, so the frame is now completely level. We've checked it again, and then for belts and braces checked it one more time. So we checked it 4 times. What we did is we started off with this frame. We used the spirit level, leveled that section off, and then we drilled it to the stakes. We then checked this section, and then we did a cross section. So as you can see, that timber, we put the spirit level across there, checked that, make sure that was level, then make sure that was level, and then continued the process all the way along round all 4 corners. So we've basically leveled it off at 8 sections, so corner sections and straight beam sections. Then we checked it again just to make sure the spirit level is even all the way around. Spirit level's 1 metre long. This section here is 4.6 meters. So I've checked it at each point on both sides just to make sure it continues with a straight line, especially because we've got a join there. So I'm perfectly happy that it is all level. It's braced, so at all corners, so we shouldn't get any movement. So the stakes are put in slightly lower, because when we come to level off our concrete, we want a nice straight edge across. I'll take these pins out at a later stage, but what we're going to do now is start breaking down these slabs, ready for the MOT type 1 to go on top. So yeah, I think we're getting there. We're making good progress, so I'm pretty happy with that. This wall